Hey, what's going on, family? This is Andy Henriquez, and of course, I want to welcome you to the Thursday night show for your life motivational live stream. I've got a message for you tonight. Tonight's message is all about lies, lies, lies. It is time to stop the lies, especially the lies that we tell ourselves. I believe that the worst kind of lie that you can tell is a lie that you tell to yourself. And so I got a message for you tonight. I thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be getting started in just a moment. And so I appreciate you all dialing in. Just give me a moment so I can go ahead and give a shout out to a couple of quick people before we get started. And once again, I want to welcome you all to the Thursday night show for your life motivational live stream. This is where you come each and every week to get that midweek pick me up. And so I got a message specifically for you tonight. And my message for you tonight is stop lying, stop lying. You say, Andy, what are you talking about? Well, listen, I believe that the worst lies are the ones that we tell ourselves. And so, oftentimes we're looking for moments that we can call people out who have lied to us. But I believe it's time that we need to start calling ourselves out and start paying attention to those moments that we begin to start lying to ourselves, because those lies, those kind of lies, the lies that we tell ourselves, those are the ones that cost us the most. And so do me a favor as you're tuning in tonight, go ahead and put in your city and your state so I can go ahead and give you a quick shout out before we go ahead and get started with tonight's message. Once again, I'm going to be talking about the lies that we tell ourselves. And I believe the worst lies are the ones that we tell ourselves, not the ones that we tell to our friends, not the ones that we tell to our significant others, but the absolute worst lies are the ones that you tell yourself and that you actually begin to believe. And if we can find ways to, number one, be able to identify those moments when we're lying to ourselves and literally stop that process of lying to ourselves, and we're going to start creating a different shift in our lives, a different shift in our business, a different shift in the things that we're looking to pursue. So as you're jumping on, do me a quick favor real quick. Go ahead and put in your city and your state so I could go ahead and say hello to you before we get started with tonight's message. And once again, the title of tonight's message is The Worst Lies Are the Ones That We Tell to Ourselves. And so I was reflecting on some things, and there's some people who I've had some one-on-one conversations with that I realized that some of the things that they were saying I felt were not very true. And the thing that was really, really difficult about me trying to bring clarity for them was the fact that they believed those things to be true. And the crazy thing is, when we believe the lies that we tell ourselves, we also have to accept the consequences, and we have to also accept the results that come with those lies. And so if we can learn to be able to, number one, to identify those things, to dispel those things, then all of a sudden we can create a shift in our change in our lives. And so I've got something really, really special for you tonight. Let me go ahead and say hi to a couple people as you're tuning in. Put in your city and your state so I can go ahead and say hi to you before we go ahead and get started. Of course, I want to say welcome to the people who are watching on YouTube, those of you who are watching on Facebook, and of course, those of you who are listening in right now via the conference call line. I appreciate you all listening in. And once again, I want to talk to you specifically about the lies that we tell ourselves. And so let me tell you what made this whole message come about. I started to reflect. I was reflecting on my own personal life, and I was reflecting on a couple of conversations that I've had with some people. And here's one of the things that I want you to realize. First of all, I want you to write this down. This is the first thing I want you to write down. The first thing I want you to write down is simply this statement. The worst lies are the lies that we tell ourselves. Just write that down. Go ahead and make a quick note to yourself. I want you to commit that to memory. So the reason why I want you to commit to memory, because at some point I want you to start thinking about these things so that you can begin to disrupt those moments in your life where you begin to lie to yourself. So I want to get you to understand something. The absolute worst lies, are the ones that we tell ourselves, Hey, Ross, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Hey, Durrett, thank you for tuning in. I see some people from where we have Kentucky as well as Florida. Good to see you as you're coming in. Put in your city and your state. But the absolute worst lies are the lies that we tell ourselves. And so here's what I want to share with you. If you don't mind for a moment, I'm going to go ahead and be very transparent here and be very honest. And I'm going to start off by talking about some of the lies that I've told myself, and how those lies that I told myself most certainly did not serve me. And I want you that, even though I'm going to be talking about myself for a moment, and I'm going to be talking about some of the lies that I've told myself, I want you to, in turn, as you're listening to me share some of the lies that I've told myself and how that cost me, I want you to be very honest with yourself and start thinking about, where have you lied to yourself, or where are you currently lying to yourself? And where is it costing you something? And I believe that when we begin to detect the lies that we tell ourselves, and if we can go ahead and dispel those lies, if we can get rid of those lies, then we can dramatically create a shift and a change in our personal lives. And so many of us don't realize that on a daily basis, we are having an internal dialogue, and many of the things that are being said in that internal dialogue are not true. And if we believe those things to be true, then our actions are based off of a bunch of lies. And unfortunately, it keeps us from producing the results that we want to produce in our lives. And so if number one, if we can begin to detect the lies that we tell ourselves and then dispel those lies, and start operating from a place of truth, we can start creating some new experiences, new results, and start producing some new action in our lives. And so I'm hoping and praying that you're going to get a breakthrough as a result of listening into what I'm sharing with you tonight. But I'm going to use myself as an example. And so I'm going to use myself as an example. Let me share with you one of my very first lies. One of the lies that I like to tell myself and that I have told myself in the past that was not working for me was I tried to give myself this lie. And here's what it is. Here's what the lie was. The lie was, I am a perfectionist. And so I'd say, Andy, you're a perfectionist. You just want to get it right. You just want to make sure you're a perfectionist. And so, that's the thing. And so I'm going to be very honest with you. Let me help you to understand when that really, really came for a head for me and when I realized it wasn't serving me. So a couple of years back, I wrote my book. The title of my book is called Show Up for Your Life. If you haven't gotten a copy, I suggest that you head on over to Amazon, get yourself a copy. It's a phenomenal book. It's a book that's designed to really help you to be able to transform your life and to begin to show up differently in your personal life, in your career, and everything that you're happening. I have been getting tremendous feedback over the years with the book. I've had my corporate clients like Office Depot, Bacardi, who have ordered hundreds of copies and continue to order copies for their staff, for their employees. But I want to share something with you specifically, and I'm almost ashamed to share this. But I remember when I was pretty much done with the manuscript for my book. After I was done with the manuscript of my book, I probably could have waited like an additional month to go through all the different proofreading and the editing to be able to go ahead and get that book out and get it published. But here's what I have to say, and I hate to admit this, that when it was done, when I pretty much had the manuscript done, here's what I did. I sat on the book for over a year, and I kept getting the book edited over and over and over and over again. And the more that I kept getting the book edited, the more that I was postponing releasing the book. And so oftentimes the conversation I was having in my mind and the conversation I was having with other people when they're asking, hey, Andy, how's the book coming along? I said, well, I'm just getting it edited some more. I just want it to be perfect. And then they said, well, Andy, how's the book coming on? Well, I want it to just be perfect. And so I'm working on making it perfect. I'm getting it edited. But can I make you understand something? That was a complete lie. You say, well, Andy, why was that a lie? Because I want you to understand that the real reason why I kept getting the book edited, the real reason why I was sitting on the book for an additional year was not just because I was a perfectionist. Because what I want you to understand, the reason why that's a lie is because perfection is rooted in fear. And so the real motivating factor for me to continue to get my book edited, the real motivating factor that kept me from releasing the book, the real motivating factor that caused me to hold on to the book for an additional year when I should have released it was not the fact that I was a perfectionist. The real cause, the real reason was because it was rooted in fear, and it was the fear of criticism, the fear of judgment, the fear of not having it all right, the fear of what other people were going to think. And so what I want you to understand is that that was a lie that I was telling myself. I tried to disguise my fear. I tried to disguise my insecurities. I tried to disguise that with the title of being a perfectionist. And so all too often, that's what we do. We try to slap a label over something when it's really not that. And so for me to say that the reason why that I held on to the book for an additional year when I was pretty much done with the manuscript was because I was a perfectionist, I'd be absolutely lying to you, because the real motivating factor at the end of the day had everything to do with the fact that I was afraid. You see, I was afraid of the criticism. I was afraid of the judgment. I was afraid of the comparison. I was afraid of not having it all right. And then I recall that as I was operating from that place of fear, that I stumbled across a quote. And the quote that I saw was a quote by Sheryl Sandberg. She's the COO of Facebook. And the quote said, "Done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect." And I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was talking about how I pride myself on being a perfectionist. And they said, "Andy, can I be honest with you?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead." And he said that I want you to know that perfection is actually rooted in fear. Why do you want your book to be so perfect? And then as he asked me more and more questions, I started to discover that the real reason was because I didn't want to be criticized. I didn't want to be judged. And so I realized that that was a lie that I was telling myself. And so if you recall, one of the things I was telling you is that the worst lies are the ones that we tell ourselves. And so that was the lie that I told myself. And so I want you to now take your eyes off of me for a moment and start looking at your own life and say, where in your life have you created a really awesome lie for yourself? Like you tried to spin something and make it positive, right? And so I tried to spin the fact that I had my own insecurities. I tried to spin the fact that I was afraid of releasing it, afraid of criticism, afraid of not having it all right. I tried to disguise that with saying I'm a quote unquote perfectionist. And can I tell you something? That was a straight lie. Listen, if you have ever told a lie to yourself, do me a favor right now, put hashtag lie. I want to find out if you go lie to me tonight, or if you're going to go ahead and be very honest with me, if you have ever said a lie to yourself, like you have somehow lied to yourself. And I'm going to start breaking down these lies that I've told myself so that you can start identifying perhaps some of the places that you've lied to yourself. I want you right now, do me a favor, put hashtag lie, hashtag lie. If you know in your heart that you have lied to yourself. So one of the lies that I told myself is this, that I am a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist. And I'm telling you right now, that was the absolute lie. It was rooted in fear. Now, I'm going to break down another lie that I told myself, that I've told myself in the past. Here's another lie. I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I would, but I don't have the time. And so here's what I want you to understand. One of the things that we love to tell ourselves, and one of the lies that we love to tell ourselves, is that we don't have the time. And so what I want you to realize is that oftentimes that is a big fat lie. Why? Because I've come to the realization that we will create time and find time for the things that are important to us. And so I want you to understand that if you think the highest office in the United States, the office of president, if you think about people who are running multi-million-dollar companies and CEOs, if you think about thought leaders that have all these demands that are going on in their lives, trust and believe me on this, that they still find the time to do the things that are important to them. And so oftentimes when you say to yourself that I would go and sign up for the coaching program if I had the time, I would read the book if I had the time, I would start the business if I had the time, I would learn how to do that if I had the time. What I want you to understand that is a straight up lie. Do you hear me? That is a lie. You say, well, Andy, how's that a lie? Because here's what I've come to realize. You will make time for anything that's important to you. And oftentimes you saying that you don't have the time is just hiding another real excuse, a real reason, a real thing that you have there. And so that's the thing I want you to understand. So I want to help you to identify a time in my life where I straight up gave myself that lie, and I had to call myself out so that you can find that moment in your life that you could create a shift. So I'll never forget this. So many years ago, I had an opportunity to be able to study under Les Brown. Over 10 years ago, I joined Les Brown's highest training program at that particular time. It was called his Platinum Speaker Program. And I remember I had an opportunity to train under him, to learn, to develop my skill set, to be able to communicate, to be able to share my stories. And at that time, Les Brown had a motivational call that he was doing every Monday night. And at that time, he had already been doing that call for over a decade. And Les Brown himself, every Monday night, would jump on and deliver this motivational call via conference call line. And so after I trained with Les Brown and he started to have some confidence with my ability to be able to deliver a message, Les Brown reached out to me and he asked me to go ahead and be his guest speaker on his Monday night motivational call, myself, and he's asked some of the other trainers and speakers that he's trained to be guest speakers. So I remember being a guest speaker on Les Brown's motivational call and then being asked to be a guest speaker on his call on multiple occasions. And there's one particular young lady who heard me speak on Les Brown's Monday night call who sent me a message on Facebook, and she said to me, she said, Andy, you know, I love hearing you on Les Brown's motivational call. She said, when are you going to go ahead and do your own motivational call? I would love to jump on one of your calls. I think you should do one. And so periodically she would check in with me and keep asking me, hey, when are you going to do your own motivational call? When are you going to do your own motivational call? And this is what the crazy thing is. You know what I told her? I told her a straight up lie. You know what I told her? I said, well, I would, but I don't know if I have the time. Let me tell you something. She let me ride with that the first time that I told her that. The second time she heard me on Les Brown call and she checked in with me, she said, hey, Andy, when are you going to start your own motivational call? And I said, well, I would, but I don't know if I have the time. And this time she decided to go ahead and hit me back with a fast one. And you know what she said? She said, that's strange, Andy, because Les Brown's been doing his call for over 10 years. So do you mean to tell me that you're more busy than Les Brown? I was like, ooh, oh, she called me out. She called me out. Because at that time, Les Brown was one of the top 5 speakers in the world. Les Brown was delivering over 100 keynotes per year. At that time, he was traveling all across the country, traveling all across the continent, delivering keynote messages to major corporations and also overseas. And he was able to get on every single Monday and deliver a motivational call. And here I was, his disciple, learning from him, learning to develop my gift as a speaker, just trying to get keynotes, trying to establish clients, trying to make things happen. And I had the nerve to say that I didn't have the time. And so let me tell you something. When she said that, I realized that that was nothing more than a lie. I realized that really what I was doing was I was hiding out. I was actually afraid. I was afraid to step out there. I was afraid of the fact of being responsible to deliver a message every single week. I felt like that was a big responsibility. I didn't know if I was going to be able to come up with a message every single week. Well, I've been delivering these messages now for over 10 years, but at that time, I did not know if I could do it. And so the reality of it was I was afraid. The reality of it was I was scared. And so I tried to disguise that by making up a lie and saying that I didn't have the time. And so once again, I want you to think about where in your life right now, where is it in your life that you've been making up false excuses to yourself? Where is it in your life that you've been telling yourself an absolute lie? Like you've told yourself the lie, I don't have the time, right? Matter of fact, do me a favor. If you have ever made up a lie to yourself, and now that you know it's a lie, and said something like, I don't have the time, do me a favor right now in the comment section, put me too, me too, me too. Like, I just want to see if you're going to be honest with me right now and tell me if you've ever told yourself the lie that I don't have the time. I'm telling you, when it was time for me to level up, when it was time for me to start sharing my message, when it was time for me to go ahead and start delivering a weekly message, I came up with the excuse that I don't have the time. And that excuse had everything to do with my insecurities. It was because of the fact that I didn't know if I was going to be capable of doing it. I didn't want to put myself out there. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want people to jump on there and be comparing me to Les Brown or some of the other speakers out there. And I just didn't know if I was going to add up. And so I tried to come up with the excuse that I didn't have the time. And so finally, when that young lady said, excuse me, so you're more busy than Les Brown, she called me out. And so at that moment, I realized it was a lie. I decided to level up. And so I remember I pulled out a camera and I made an announcement. I said, hey, this is Andy Henriquez. I got a big announcement to make. I'm going to be starting something called my Show Up For Your Life motivational message every Thursday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure that you tune in. And so now I put myself out there. There was no retreating. There was no possibility of actually running back. And then so I put myself in a situation where now I had to take action, and now I had to find the time. And so what I want you to understand is this, is that once you can identify the lies that you're telling yourself, like the lie I told myself, I'm a perfectionist, which was really rooted in the fact that I was fearful and I was afraid of criticism, I was afraid of judgment, or the lie that I don't have the time, which was once again was rooted in fear. The fear of getting started, the fear of failing, the fear of things not working out. And what I'm telling you is the moment that I started recognizing those fears and then finding a way to push through the fears and stop lying to myself, but rather start noticing how those lies were hurting me and how those things were keeping me from my next level, then I began to create a shift and a change and start building momentum. And so what I want you to do right now is I want you to start looking at your life, and I want you to be very honest with yourself, and I want you to start recognizing where in your life right now, where in your life have you been making up excuses? Where in your life have you been making up excuses? Where in your life have you been telling yourself lies? And do me a favor right now, if you've ever told yourself the lie, listen carefully, be honest. If you told yourself the lie, I don't have the time. If you've ever told yourself the lie, I don't have the time, go ahead and do me a favor right now in the comment section. Put me too, me too. Listen, the first step to creating a shift and a change is to just acknowledge the fact that we lie to ourselves. All day long, we lie to ourselves. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I'm too young. I'm too old. I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I'm good enough. We tell ourselves these lies over and over and over again. Every single time we stack these lies, what they're doing is they're causing us to play small, and they're keeping us from our next level. And so I want you to get to that next level. I want you to stop lying to yourself. I want you to start recognizing the lies that you're telling yourself so that you can dispel those lies and so that you can break through and get to your next level and stop getting at that place where you start buying into these false ideologies and these false concepts and these false conversations that you're telling yourself. Now, I'm going to share with you another lie that I've told myself in the past. Here's another lie that I've told myself in the past. It's just not the right timing. It's just not the right timing. Let me tell you something, that's an absolute lie, because here's what I've come to realize. There's no such thing as perfect timing. And so if you are committed to taking your life to the next level, if you're committed to making things happen, the best time is right now. Like right now is the time to take action. And so I can remember when I was working in corporate America and I was thinking about stepping out and going after my goals and my dreams and becoming an entrepreneur. I remember sitting on the sidelines and saying to myself, well, I'm just going to wait for the perfect timing. I'm going to wait till I have the right amount of money in my bank account. I'm going to wait for the perfect time to put in my letter of resignation. I'm going to wait for all my chips to be stacked in order. And I'm telling you right now, if I was still waiting for the perfect timing, then I would still be back at the same place working my corporate job. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I wanted more. Do you get that? I wanted more. And so what I want you to understand is as long as I kept buying into that lie that it's not the right timing, then I would have put my life on pause. And I'm telling you right now that all too often we put our lives on pause because of the fact that we buy into this concept that we're just going to find the perfect timing. And here's what I've come to the realization is that there's no such thing as perfect timing. Like the best time for you to act on your goals and your dreams, the best time for you to take action, the best time for you to get uncomfortable, the best time for you to get outside of your comfort zone, the best time for you to level up is right now. It's not tomorrow. It's not next week. It's not next month. It's not after you have a certain amount of money in your bank account. It's not after you get a stamp of approval by this many people. The best time for you to take action is right now. This is that moment. So stop lying to yourself and saying that you're just going to wait for the perfect timing. I did that. And for literally a year and a half, I postponed taking a chance on myself. For a year and a half, I played this game with myself. Oh, well, I'll just wait for the perfect timing, and I would move forward right now. I would take a step and move forward, but it's just not the right timing, Andy. And so I sat on the sidelines. I put my life on hold. Like, you don't want to know how many of us are putting our lives on hold under the premise that we're waiting for the right timing. Are you serious? You're waiting for the right timing to write your book? You need to write that book right now. You're waiting for the right timing to start the business. You need to start the business like right now. You're waiting for the right timing to go ahead and ask for forgiveness. Like right now is the time. You're waiting for the right timing to go tell somebody that's important to you you're sorry. Like right now is the perfect time. Like you're waiting for the right time to go get the counseling, the therapy that you need. Like you need to go do that right now. You're waiting for the right timing to level up and go bigger and have bigger dreams and bigger goals in your life. Are you kidding me? Like the right time is right now. There's no such thing as perfect timing. And so stop telling yourself that lie. That's another lie. I told myself that lie, and there's no such thing as perfect timing. The time is now. Do me a favor right now. Put hashtag now in the comment section. Put hashtag now, because there is no better time for you to say yes to yourself. No better time for you to say yes to your dreams. No better time for you to take action on the things that you want to take action on than right now. So what I want you to do is I want you to say now. Say now, right now, right now, right now is the time for you to act on your goals and your dreams. Right now is the time for you to take action. Right now is the time for you to create a shift and a change in your life. There is no better time than now. Opportunity always takes now as a good answer. So do me a favor right now in the comment section, put now, put now, put now, put now. As a matter of fact, if you are getting value from what I'm sharing right now, do me a favor also, go ahead and make sure you hit the share button, because I know there's somebody that you're connected to that needs to hear some part of this message, because there's a lie that they're telling themselves. And if they could recognize the lie, and if they could stop telling the lie, then they're going to experience a breakthrough in their life. So I already shared with you a couple lies. Number one of the lies I was telling myself is, I'm a perfectionist. And that was a lie, because that lie had everything to do with the fact that it had to do with my own fears, my own insecurities. The reason why I sat on my book for an additional year was because of the fact that I was afraid of releasing it. I was afraid of it not being perfect. I was afraid of criticism. I was afraid of what other people were going to think. And so a lot of times when we lie to ourselves and say we're perfectionists, perfectionism is oftentimes rooted in fear. One of the other lies that we say is, I don't have the time. The reality of it is you can create time for anything that is important to you. So stop saying you don't have the time. And if it's important to you, find the time, create the time, and you'll be surprised how many times during the day that you waste. If you do a time log of the things that you do throughout your day, you will realize that there are so many times that you waste being on social media, going through your emails, drifting into la la land and making things happen. They say that the average person who even goes into the corporate workspace only puts in about 4 hours of true productivity. The rest of the time, they're just really lollygagging, checking emails on the internet and wasting time. So you can find the time for the things that are important to you. The other thing is this is just not the right timing. It's not the perfect timing. I want to make you understand something. There is no such thing as perfect timing. That thing does not exist. Now, here's another lie that I've told myself in the past that I got to share with you. I don't like to ask for help. That's another lie that I've told myself. I don't like to ask for help. And so here's what I discovered. Here's what's a pattern in my life that I had discovered at a time, that I find a lot of great fulfillment and joy in helping other people. And so I love to listen to other people, figure out what they are struggling with, and help them out to try to figure out how I could help them to get to the next level. And so I could help them to overcome their own shortfalls, to overcome their limited belief system or whatever's going on. I love to help people to be able to develop and craft their messages so that they can have greater connection. I love to be able to help people to become better communicators. So I love helping people. But here's what I discovered. When I got in the presence of people who could help me, oftentimes when I had those conversations with them, I was having a conversation with people who should really be helping me, and I was still trying to find a way to act as if I was helping them. So I was trying to give them pointers and affirm them. And when I should have been asking them for help, to say, hey, could you help me out here? I'm stuck on this part of my business. Could you show me or help me how to get to the next level? Hey, I'm having a limited belief here. Could you help me on this? And so what I would say to myself is, well, I like to help people, but I don't like to ask for help. Once again, I want you to understand that that was a lie that I was telling myself. And that lie was rooted in something called pride. You see, that's what I want you to understand. The reality of it was I tried to disguise it as I don't like to ask for help. I like to help people as if I am just like this amazing person that likes to help people. And it is true, I love to help people. But the reality of it is the real reason why I wasn't asking for help was because of the fact that I was pride. It had everything to do with pride. And so a lot of times when we're prideful, we have issues with asking people for help. When we're prideful, we don't want to look vulnerable. We don't want to show our insecurities. We want to show our shortcomings. And that pride will keep you from getting to the next level. That pride will keep you from getting the information that you need, from getting the help that you need to be able to get to your next level. And so we need to put that pride aside and stop lying to ourselves and saying, I don't like to ask for help. and we need to start asking for the help that we need. Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you have ever been at a place in your life where you have needed some help, and right now, if you need some help right now, because I want you to realize we all need some help. Do me a favor right now, put hashtag help, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I know I am always in need of help. I can always improve. I can always get to that next level. That's why I'm always seeking information, seeking content, seeking coaches, seeking seminars and workshops, and brainstorming and masterminding with other people, because there's always a way that I can benefit. But what I want to help you to understand, that in the past, what I would do is say that I don't like to ask for help. But the reality of it is, it had everything to do with the fact that what I really should have been saying is, Andy, you're prideful. That's what the real thing is. You're prideful, my man. That you don't want to show your shortcomings. You don't want to show the areas that you're struggling. And so what's happening is you're putting your ego in front of your needs. And so you need to put that ego aside and stop trying to put on a facade and just be honest and ask for help, because that's the only way you're going to get to the next level. And so what I want you to realize is this, is that when we tell ourselves and when we begin to say to ourselves that, you know what, it's just, I don't like to ask for help. I want you to understand that you are hurting one person, and the person that you're hurting is yourself. Because I told you this at the very beginning, the worst lies are the lies that we tell ourselves. The worst lies are the lies that we tell ourselves. And so I've told myself many lies, and every single one of those lies did not serve me. Every single one of those lies did nothing else but keep me small. I'm going to throw out a couple other lies that we tell ourselves. One of the lies that we tell ourselves is, you know what? I got to choose. I got to figure out either I got to do that or I got to do that. And so what I want you to realize, that oftentimes the reason why that's a lie is because oftentimes that the reason why you begin to start saying that to yourself is because of the fact that you're operating from a scarcity mindset. And so I've had people who before they're supposed to work with me and they say, well, you know, I'm trying to decide whether or not I should do your training or whether or not I should do that training. And they're two completely different trainings. And so what's happening is they have created this thought process in their mind that they need to choose between one or the other. And the reality of it is that they need both. And so if they buy into this mindset that they need to choose one or the other, it's a scarcity mindset. And so that scarcity mindset is saying that I can only do one or I can only do the other. And when you operate from that place, what you're saying is, I have a finite amount of resources. I have a limited amount of resources. And so if I choose this one, I can't possibly find the resources to do the other one. And so what I want you to realize is that's a lie. That is a scarcity mindset. Because if we want to evolve, if we want to get to the next level, what we really need to say to ourselves is this: I want to do that, and I also want to do that. And instead of feeling and telling myself that I could only choose one, what I need to say to myself is, how can I do both? What do I need to do to level up so that I can do both? Right? It's the same thing if you want to purchase something, right? Instead of saying I can only choose one, how do I need to play a bigger game? What amount of money do I need to make? How many more phone calls do I need to make? How many more clients do I need to take on? How many more deals do I need to close? How do I need to show up differently so I can increase my capacity so that I can do both, so that I can buy both, so I can get those things and stop operating from a scarcity mindset and convincing yourself that you have to choose one or the other. The moment you make the decision that you have to choose one or another, you're operating from a scarcity mindset, because what you're saying is, I can only do one and the other one I cannot do. And so I understand there are going to be times, there's seasons, and sometimes there's timing. But what I want you to say, what I want you to realize is, more times than not, you're operating from a scarcity mindset when you start convincing yourself that you need to choose one or the other, when there's two things or both of the things are the things that you actually need. And so I'm going to ask you that you level up. I'm going to ask that you stop playing it small. I'm going to ask that you play a bigger game. If you're committed to leveling up, do me a favor right now, put hashtag level up, hashtag level up. And so that's one of the things that we don't understand is that, it's like when somebody says something like, I don't have the money. The moment you say, I don't have the money, you have stopped all creativity. You have stopped all the thinking. Rather, what you need to say is, how do I come up with the money? That's the thing. There's two different thought processes. I don't have the money. Nothing else thinks. Nothing else happens. No creativity. You don't expand. You don't grow because you're shutting off all possibilities. You're shutting off everything. How do I find the money? Now you are thinking, you are creating, you're expanding, you're figuring things out. You're finding a way to actually level up. And so all too often we have this mindset that we have to choose one or the other. And what I'm saying to you is that you have an invitation every time you find two things that you know that you can benefit from, two things that you know that you should do. It is an invitation for you to level up. It is an invitation for you to get to your next level. It is an invitation for you to stop playing small and for you to get to the next level. And so like I shared with you, the worst lies are the lies that we tell ourselves. The worst lies are the lies that we tell ourselves. And so one of the things that we have to start doing now is we have to start paying attention through the thoughts that are going on through your mind, the conversations that you're having, and you need to start trying to catch yourself telling a lie. Like, we take pride sometimes in trying to catch other people telling a lie. How about this? How about you catch yourself telling lies? Like, catch the lies that you tell to yourself, because if you can catch those lies and stop those lies dead in those tracks, then what you're going to do is you're going to start releasing yourself to do the things that you should be doing. And what you're going to stop doing is stop playing it small and allowing those lies that have been holding you back. You're going to release yourself to get to your next level. And so that's why I want to be transparent with you. I started to share with you some of the lies that I've told myself. And I want you to start thinking about, what are some of the lies that you've shared and said to yourself? What are the lies that are holding you back? Like the lies that I can't do it. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I'm not good enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm not smart enough. I'm a perfectionist. I don't have the time. It's just not the right timing. I don't like to ask for help. I'm good. I can do this on my own. I need to choose between one or the other. Like, there are so many lies that if we really take the time to unpackage them and figure out the real reason why we're saying those things, we would come to the realization that many of those things are just simply lies. They're nothing more than lies. And so the worst lies are the lies that we tell ourselves. And so here's my challenge for you. My challenge for you is, over the next 3 days, for you to pay attention to the thoughts that are going on in your mind. If you could pull out a notebook, get a piece of paper, and what I want you to do is I want you to start capturing, to find the lies that you tell yourself. Like, the worst thing is when a lie goes undetected, when you have a limited belief and it's going undetected. And so what I want you to do is I want you to see if you can capture and identify the lies that you've been telling yourself. Like, I shared with you some of the lies that I've told myself, that I'm a perfectionist, that I don't have the time, that it's just not the right timing, that I don't like to ask for help, that I need to choose between one or the other. And so if you could just use a log, just get a piece of paper, get a notepad over the next 3 days and see if you could identify the lies. Once you identify the lies, then you have an opportunity to reject those lies and say that you're no longer going to accept those lies in your life. And once you reject those lies, then you can create a new truth in your life. And you can begin to operate from that place of truth. And when you begin to operate from that new place of truth, and that you replace those old lies with new truths, then you begin to create new realities in your life, a new mindset, and new results in your life. And so I'm going to repeat this one more time. The worst lies are the lies that we tell ourselves. And so if you can capture the lies and replace it with a new truth, you can begin to create a shift and a change in your life. And so my challenge for you is, over the next 3 days, if you can start to assess your life and identify the areas in your life that you've been lying, and find a way to go ahead and reject those lies and create new truths, everything changes for you. Do you hear me? Everything changes. The worst lies are the lies that we tell ourselves. Hey, listen, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you got some value from this message. And I'm going to challenge you that as a result of listening into this message, that you analyze your life and that you think about your inner thoughts and the conversations that you're having and try to figure out where in your life are you lying to yourself so that you can capture those lies, reject those lies, and create a new reality for yourself, a new reality that you accept for your life. Because if you do that, everything changes. Everything changes. And so once again, I want to thank you all for tuning in and joining me on the Thursday night show, Feel Like Motivational live stream. If you got some value from this message, go ahead and do me a favor. Make sure you go ahead and share this message. Let me say hi to a couple people. Hey, good to see you, Natasha. Good to see you. Hey, Joel, good to see you. Hey, Durrett, good to see you. Hey, Darren, my man, good to see you. Always good to see you. Alexander Proctor, good to see you. Hey, Janelle, good to see you. Hey, what's that? Sharsis. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Good to see you. Appreciate you all tuning in. And once again, if you got some value from tonight's message, do me a favor and make sure you go ahead and share the message with a friend or family member. Go ahead and hit the share button. Hey, Siraj, good to see you out in LA. Once again, I appreciate you guys. And don't forget, the worst lies that you could tell yourself is the ones that you tell yourself. And so if we can capture those lies, tell ourselves some new truths, we create a shift in our change in our life. And so thank you, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless.